30. I just wanted to check in because I made it home. And even though I cried most of the day, I was invited by a friend to do a bubble run. We made these, she asked me to do this like back in May if I wanted to go to this bubble run, and I've never heard of such a thing before. So that's what I ended up doing this morning. I got up and got dressed, and we made it out to there, and we finished, and they give you a finisher medal if you do a bubble run. And I was reading the comments from my live stream earlier, and I appreciate everyone who stopped to view it and to leave words of encouragement, their thoughts. And someone had was being very helpful, and they said to me, "Don't let them see you defeated." And the thing is that I didn't allow how I felt to defeat me today. And that's what I wanted to come back and say real quick. I didn't allow my feelings to defeat me. My sister tells me all the time, it's okay to feel what you feel, just don't stay there. There was a time years ago where I let I let it I let it ruin my day. I remember specifically one day I pulled up at work, and I was talking to Layla's dad, trying to salvage something that just wasn't there anymore. And he said to me, and it's actually really wise wisdom, and it sucked to hear at the time. He said, shouldn't you be at work? You got better things to be doing with your time than to be trying to talk to me. And I was, thank you, Jessica. And I was so hurt that and the thing was, he was right, because I pulled up to my temp job, and I was already late going inside because I was trying to talk to him at the house. I was trying to talk to him again in the parking lot, and then he hung up on me and was like, "You're wasting your time on me." And so I didn't even go into work. I ended up leaving, and I just blew the entire rest of the day off. But I didn't do that today. When I saw that message, I could have turned around and told Tanisha, like, I can't do this. I'm going home. I don't, my emotional state. Thank you. And but we did do the bubble run. And I told her what was on my mind and what was bothering me. She could see it. So we were having conversation, and she was asking me, what are 3 things that you really want to do? What are your top 3 things? And it threw me off, and I was like, what are they? Like, I was like, I don't even know. So we just kept walking through the bubble run. We were walking because before we even got there, I met up at her house so we could carpool, because they charge you $20 for parking. So she said, she was like, I'm not going to run, but I'll be walking. And I said, good, because I thought I would be like, okay, girl, I'll catch up with you, because I'm not really a runner. So we got there, and again, we were having conversation about like, what is our favorite vegetable? And we were talking about TV shows, and I put her on some of the shows that I'm watching, and I did cry at a point. I mean, my nose running, but I didn't stop the bubble run. I didn't turn around and say no about any part of my day. So we did, after we completed the run and we got our medals. We took pictures and we marked our memories. When we got back to her house, she did pray with me, and she did encourage me, and she was just telling me, just give it over to God. Just trust God with this. Just trust him. And she said, even if you don't feel like you can trust him with this, let him know that, but just give it over to him. And I said, I don't know how. And I left from there, and I went downtown, and at that point, that's when I talked to my nephew, and we talked for about an hour. He was mad patient with me. And then I did the live stream where, you see me crying. What I want to say is that I get the notion, don't let people see you cry, or don't let them see you sweat. I understand where that comes from. However, to me, it's not going to stop me from, if I'm having a moment, sharing that I'm having that moment, because whether it's seen or not, I'm still crying. I'm still hurt. And my nephew one time, you remember I posted that picture when I had got the black eye, and when he saw it, he was like, take this down. And I said, no, I'm not going to take it down because it happened. I show when I smile, when I'm happy, just like those couples relationship goals, as they used to say, was smiling, and then they get divorced and people be like, damn, what happened? Y'all broke up? What was going on? Or like you see these celebrities or people, like most recently Ellen DeGeneres, former co-worker, his name was Twitch, and he committed suicide, and people's like, what? And I still don't think we really know what led him to do it, even though I think he left a note. But I'm not gonna be, I just let them, like, who cares? I'm crying, and if I gotta share that I'm crying in order to push through and keep going with my day, then I'm gonna cry. Then I'm gonna show that I'm crying, because that's exactly what I need to do in that moment to get through the moment. So oh, thank you, Vanessa. So I did the live stream, but I kept my app on, and I was crying. I didn't stop crying until about 4 o'clock. But I kept pushing to do my work, because there are goals that I have to make. And I made my goals. And in the midst of that, I was having conversation, and people just praying, and some folks mentioned forgiveness. Now the title, I just want to get to it, because my friend China, when I talked to her earlier, she was like, why are you crying? Like, what is it? And all I could keep telling her was, it's just the reality. And the reality I'm talking about is, and I had to really like figure out like what is the root of it, because of course I don't want to stay here, and I need to figure it out so I can know how to deal with it. I haven't gotten to what the solution is. But my reality is what my nephew said to me, and I mentioned this in the other video. I'm expecting me from someone else. I'm expecting respect when when that's not what I've ever had from Layla's dad. I'm expecting him to tell me when he's going to do things, even if it's like affects me when it comes to our daughter. I'm expecting a conversation or just a heads up or something to that effect. I'm expecting something from someone that I haven't gotten it from. And this precedes him being in a relationship with someone else right now. The disrespect has been long standing. So he's right. I'm setting myself up to be hurt by expecting a different behavior or a different result when there is no evidence of a shared effort to change that, if that makes sense. And I was crying about the reality because, yes, I have a support system of people that I call, but they tell it like it is. Yes, they acknowledge my feelings, they understand, and a lot of them have been through similar situations that I have experienced, but they also give it to me straight. And it was just like, they were just telling me, like, I don't know why you're like surprised, or I don't know why you're shocked. Like, this is who you've been dealing with the whole time. And I think maybe you didn't see it. It's like ignoring a red flag. The disrespect has always been there. The lack of courtesy has always been there. So it's not going to change. And I think that's what made me really cry today, because it was like, again, when I saw that he added her and didn't like, and skipped over having a conversation with me about it, it's nothing new. It's nothing new. He skipped over a conversation about her, even, like, there was no conversation about her. And even in the relationship, again, it's always been there. And it's like, for a long time, I didn't realize that. So I have to deal with the reality that I'm not going to find respect here. And I hope that makes sense, because to me, it makes sense, because of, It makes sense. I'm looking for me from someone else. I'm looking for a character trait that that I'm not gonna get from him. So I need to accept that and learn how to cope with that, and just be thankful that that the disrespect isn't something that I have to deal with in person, in face, on a daily basis, living together in the home, because I'm still healing from that. I'm still healing from that. And it supersedes any affair. It supersedes that. Anyhow, the forgiveness part. In two of the conversations that I had, I was speaking with some women from my church who are prayer warriors, and I mentioned, because I did speak with Layla's dad, and because at first I'm like, I want to remove her from the class dojo, because it's like I didn't agree to that. But he's saying, oh, you have to understand that, she's a parental figure in Layla's life, and she invests in her financially and in her education and everything. That doesn't, to me, that does not mean that you get certain rights and privileges just because you choose to do those things. You don't, parental figure does not equal parental rights and privileges. I still believe that you go through both of us if you want to acquire certain rights and privileges. Things on the personal end within your home, I can't do nothing about. But when it's stuff that would involve all three of us, you don't skip over the conversation with me. And that's my position on it. I did express that in a way. Whether that will be honored remains to be seen, but I did express that. But he said that, whenever I mention Shaiwanda's name, you get mad. With good reason. With good reason. But someone said, you need to heal that. You need to forgive. Two people was like, you need to forgive him. You need to forgive her. You need to forgive the whole situation and set yourself free. I'm not, what I want to ask, and I'm going to leave it on this note, because like I said, I completed my goals for today. I got me some food and I got me something to drink, and I'm just going to continue on with the rest of my evening, watch some Vampire Diaries, and get some rest and get up and go out and work again. Why is forgiveness so hard? Everyone keeps saying forgiveness isn't for them, it's for you. And I do recognize that me getting, upset isn't going to change anything about the situation, but really, does that even really work? I just don't know that I've ever really been in a position where it's like, you need to forgive them. And it's like, what power does that bring? And I'm genuinely asking, because one thing that I do, that I will admit, I watched TD Jakes again. I watched TD Jakes, and I may have mentioned this earlier, but it's his message called it's his message called Bumpy Road to Better. And he was saying in there that, thank you, Vicky. He was saying in there that we know that Joseph, I have asked forgiveness for my sins, but like, Jesus already paid the price for that. So it's like, you can ask for that, but like, I didn't do anything to really earn forgiveness. Somebody else stood in the gap for me. So I don't really know. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting. You just acknowledge that you no longer let it dictate how you move. That's my personal view. Now, I appreciate that. He was saying, of course, that we know what happened to Joseph, and that how Joseph is the victim of what his brothers did to him. His brothers threw him in the pit, sold him into slavery, and then went home and told their father that he was dead. And he was saying we recognize Joseph as the victim, but we never think about the perpetrators and how no one gets away clean. Not Joseph, not his brothers, not Jacob or Israel, as God called him later on. They all suffered because of those actions that took place. So I guess I'm saying I don't yet know how to let go because I'm upset with myself, and I'm I do hold some guilt and sorrow that I'm probably being way too hard on myself. Or my sister says that I be way too hard on myself. And then also it's like forgiving and letting go. I it's like I'm giving. Yeah, it's like I'm just giving the go ahead that it was okay that I got screwed over. But I understand that I need to come to a place of forgiveness because I'm concerned about what it'll do to me if I don't, or what it could possibly do to my relationship with Layla if I don't. Because again, there's going to be like years down the line, and I just I don't know how to I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. I acknowledge that it needs to be done for me, but I don't know how to do that. But the fact that it was brought up, I believe that it shouldn't be ignored, and that it is something that I really need to think about and pray about and try to do, because I'm concerned more about me if I don't let go. The reason that you forgive is so you don't become sick because of stress. If you become ill, what happens to your beautiful child? Stay well. Thank you, Vicky. Oh, oh, it's okay. I apologize if I skipped over it. Thank you. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. I didn't want the last live stream to be the last thing you saw. But yeah, I heard that too. And I'm gonna pray about doing that. And thank you so much for tuning in again, and thank you for your kind thoughts, and just thank you. I'm gonna go and just enjoy the rest of my evening.